The Locked On Podcast Network presents the College Sports Big 3 in 30. The three biggest stories in college sports. From our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. Bringing you the real story. Why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The College Sports Big 3 in 30 starts now with the biggest story in college sports.
And it's time now for Nebraska to move on from Dylan Raiola.
You are Locked On Nebraska, your daily Nebraska Cornhuskers podcast.
Nebraska football goes right back to the top of the board here because the starting quarterback for the last two seasons has, he has announced his intention to enter the transfer portal, or at least he's told some people his intention to enter the transfer portal.
Or his agents have told some people of his intention to enter the transfer portal next month. This is how it happens. Today, Monday was a big day for portal entries in the QB carousel. It started to really hum. You saw DJ Lagway, the former, still current, but the Florida quarterback in Dylan's class heading to the portal. Maybe Florida and Nebraska could just switch. They could swap. You saw probably not. I did hear part of your radio show on Monday talking about how DJ Lagway loves to throw interceptions. So yeah, it's not what Nebraska wants. Brendan Sorsby, how about that? He's in the transfer portal. The Cincinnati quarterback who could not beat Nebraska back in August, but had a great year. He's had a great career. I'm amazed that he has eligibility left, but he does. He's in the portal. We already knew about Sam Levitt, the former Michigan State and Arizona State quarterback. Aiden Childs, the former Michigan State quarterback, he's in the portal. So this is the stuff we have to talk about now for the next month.
Yeah, and the portal's not even open yet. And I'm glad that, we start there from a timing perspective, because just from, reading the writing on the wall and the tea leaves and whatever over the last couple of weeks, I do feel like that is a factor. The fact that the quarterback carousel started to turn today. As we've talked about on this show, and we talked about it last week, it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody because it happened last offseason, and Dylan Raiola was in his camp or getting feelers all across the country. What's the situation look like? What's the money look like? And a variety of different things. And you don't really know until, the teams don't really know who they're going to go after until they see, who they can or who makes themselves sort of available. So the first people who get in on that train are going to have an opportunity. And that's what Dylan has been doing and his camp has been doing for the last couple of weeks. And then all of a sudden, when the names start going in today, or I guess intending to go in today, then it becomes real. And then the spots start getting gobbled up really, really quickly. So I don't think that's a coincidence that once one kind of opened up today, the floodgates open for the quarterback carousel.
Yes, we are taping this on Monday. You're probably listening on Tuesday, but that's fine. That's fine. We needed to get this. We needed to get this out. Kind of an emergency evening podcast, so it'll be out early for everybody on Tuesday. If you're listening, perhaps you know that. Somebody else who went in the portal on Monday of local interest, Oklahoma State quarterback Zane Flores intends to enter the portal. This is news. He threw for 1,454 yards and 3 touchdowns for the one-win Cowboys of the Big 12. It was not a solid season for Oklahoma State, and Flores was sent to the bench at least once. They were just all over the map, and I think it's somewhat difficult to hold against a quarterback in that system all of the chaos or how the stats may look when there was all that chaos. Mike Gundy, of course, was fired mid-season, so we'll talk later in the show about what the path is that Nebraska should take with its quarterback position, because I think it's evident, it's very clear that the Huskers will look in the portal for a quarterback for certain. Already that was going to happen since Nebraska did not sign a QB in the early signing period. But I look at Flores at this point as a quarterback who's looking for a step down in size type of school. probably a G5 or even an FCS school with the way things went in his 3 seasons at Oklahoma State. But he is a Gretna kid. He does have the exposure to Matt Rule, who tried to get him as a part of his first recruiting class at Nebraska. And just maybe he's somebody you could look at to come in and be a competitor. Not, I'm going to walk in and be the starter, but
yeah,
we'll get back to that when we talk about what Nebraska's path is for the quarterback position. But let's just start with this on Dylan. Was it worth it? Did Nebraska get what it was looking for? How much of what it was looking for did Nebraska get from the 2 years with Dylan Raiola, the former 5-star out of Buford, Georgia?
Yeah, this is not a black and white thing, because there's a lot on both sides of that. But I suppose if I'm to take all the pros and cons and all of what's been the last 2 years, it would add up to no for me. The juice was not worth the squeeze, in my opinion. I think what happened after Matt Rule's first year here. Well, I mean, keep in mind that they were about to be locked in with Kyle McCord, who had been the starter at Ohio State the year before that. And when he was on his visit to Nebraska, Dylan Raiola committed to Nebraska. And that happened, everything changed. And then when that happens, you get a 5-star player, 5-star quarterback, 5-star at that position with his personality and with his connections around the country. It becomes the timeline accelerates rapidly, right? And it becomes a little bit more about like, all right, what do we do to keep him here? What do we do to make him happy? How do we put people around him? What do we do to make him successful? All in the hopes that he stays. And maybe you lose sight of the bigger picture of the original plan of when Matt Rule got here, 12 months prior to that, ever so slightly. Now they did get, I think he was an attraction as it pertains to Nebraska getting players in the portal, but the offense was never really able to get off the ground in 2 years. And that's what, that's with 2 different offensive coordinators. So there's a lot to it. But my blunt answer is no, it was not.
I would agree with you that this is in the gray area. He was the face of the program at Nebraska for 2 seasons. I think he raised the profile for Matt Rule's program. He was an important piece for Nebraska to get over some of the first hurdles that Rule had to clear. Getting to a bowl game was essential last year in season number 2, and without Dylan Raiola, I don't know that happens. If Nebraska signs the class that it had on December 10th in 2023 and then goes through the 2024 season without Dylan, I don't know that Nebraska's playing in the Pinstripe Bowl, and I think that needed to happen. It started now a run of getting back to the postseason. I realize this is another 7-win season. It's not what people wanted to see, but Raiola was injured on November 1st, going for the Nebraska's 7th win when it had just 2 losses. And I think he probably would have got it on that day if not for the broken leg. So there's going to be some revisionist history and a lot of talk. And I'm probably partaking in this in what I wrote on The Athletic that showed up on Monday afternoon about how he took Nebraska as far as he could, and that Nebraska took Dylan about as far as Nebraska was going to take Dylan, and it was best for both parties, considering that, to have a clean break right here, and it will be a fresh start for both. But that is said in the context of also understanding that he filled an important role in Matt Rule's attempt to build this thing.
Yeah, there's, like I said, there's definitely a lot to it. I think now would be a good time for a little bit of, retrospective on what Nebraska did and how they approached it. And, we talked about this with the defensive coordinator and all the different hirings and firings over the last couple of years. A lot of times what you do when a guy leaves is you try to replace him with the opposite. You try to replace him with a variety of different things, whether it be personality traits, characteristics, and then even play style. And I think Nebraska will probably look for, the signs are pointing on offense to something a little bit more dynamic, something a little bit more sleek and fast with some tempo and a quarterback that could really provide a spark. Maybe TJ Lateef is that guy. Maybe a guy with more experience out of the transfer portal who's started at a different Power 5 school or something like that could provide that as well. But yeah, I'm not so sure that Nebraska did all it could for Dylan, putting him in the best spot. And I'm not so sure that, because of that, Dylan wasn't able to reach his potential here. Obviously, I mean, there's more in the tank for Dylan. And Absolutely. So that's like you wrote, Mitch. I mean, that's pretty much the reason why he's not going to be here anymore.
NFL Sundays move fast, one big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you.
Florida Gators quarterback DJ Lagway is entering the transfer portal.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators.
Florida Gators starting quarterback DJ Lagway has announced that he's going to enter the transfer portal. It's an interesting situation, right? I think that for a lot of people, let's circle back for a second. This is something that in October, I think was the first time I said it, was that, might be best for DJ to enter the portal. Just not, like I said, I think he's fixable. I'm not sure he's fixable here, right? And again, that's kind of just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, right? You got DJ Lagway gone after a awful season. We'll see what can happen, right? He's still, and because I'm not doing the whole he's gone, we're going to change everything that we've said before. He's still an incredibly physically talented quarterback when he's healthy. He just hasn't been healthy to this point. And we don't know what he's going to be when he is healthy. Like we know he's physically talented, but a lot of what went wrong for him and for Florida was mental, I guess we can say. And so he announced he entered the transfer portal. Let me pull up the exact post that we have there, which again, I think a lot of people were quite surprised by it. I think there are a lot of people in Gainesville that are surprised by it as well. But the exact quote from DJ Lagway, if it wants to load, that would be really cool. The exact quote from DJ Lagway is the typical entering the transfer portal, hope for the best, wish for the best, all that fun stuff that you're going to get there. It's Dear Gator family. First and foremost, I want to thank God for every blessing he has placed over my life. I'm truly grateful for the opportunity to have been part of such an incredible program here at the University of Florida. To my family, your unwavering support means the world to me. I would not be the man or the athlete I am today without your love, guidance, and sacrifice. To my friends and teammates, thank you for the brotherhood, the memories, and the bonds that we've built over these past 2 years. I will carry those moments with me for a lifetime. To my coaches, the athletic training staff, and every member of the University of Florida community, thank you for pouring into me, believing in me, and showing me nothing but love and support throughout my time in Gainesville. After much prayer, reflection, and thoughtful consideration, I have decided to enter the transfer portal. With gratitude, DJ Lagway. That's his quote to leave, or that was his message to leave. And again, I wish the best for him, right? I think it was October was the first time where I said, maybe DJ Lagway leaving would benefit him or be the best scenario for him. For everybody talking about, is he gonna is there a chance he comes back? I don't think so. I think if you're a QB1 and you announce your intention to enter the transfer portal, you're entering the transfer portal, right? and people talking about, money this, money that. I don't know. You can ask people. Like I see the question, what about his contract? Does he give back money? Does he owe us money? Does he have a buyout? I don't know. I don't know the inner workings of just about any player's contract. And frankly, I don't care about the inner workings of their contract. I'm not pocket watching these kids. But DJ Lagway is going to go. And that is what it is. Frankly, if he was going to go at all, this is probably the best time to do it, right? When you've got a new coaching staff coming in, a new offensive coordinator coming in. It's a fresh start for everybody. That's why in October we said that. Like, I wish the absolute best for him. I wish him luck. If I had to guess, I would imagine he winds up somewhere in the state of Texas or at USC with Lincoln Riley. I know that there's people making jokes about him going to James Madison and following Billy Napier. That would be the funniest possible outcome. Just want to throw that out there. That would be a hysterical outcome if he went, nah, I'm gonna stick with Billy. But I don't think that's the case, right? I think that he's going to go to either Baylor, Texas A&M, something like that. And the Texas A&M one's always been interesting because, yeah, they have Marcel Reed there. But wouldn't that be the perfect situation for DJ to go get done with whatever procedure he needs to get? Like the shoulder is something that, looked better toward the end of the year. But we were always told that like that shoulder was going to be something that he needs surgery on eventually, right? If you're ever going to get it, go get it now. Go red shirt and call it a day, right? Look, we spoke about it. Was it last week with Florida and the transfer portal and saying, hey, you know what? Florida should go get a quarterback, whether that's for competition or for depth. Go get a quarterback in the portal. There's guys out there, right? I don't know who they would want. I don't know, because that's also the new thing is now when you talk about who Florida might pursue in the transfer portal like quarterback, now you're going to be talking about, well, how does it mesh with the offensive system that Buster Faulkner truly wants to run? Because he's going to be able to go get any quarterback he wants, right? Like not as in any quarterback is going to come to Florida, but like he's going to go and be able to pursue any quarterback he wants. With a lot of quarterbacks, it probably was the case of, well, I'm not going to go to a place where DJ Lagway's at, where there's like an established starter. Now there's not. Go pursue anybody you want. Okay, Job Music just said, get Bear Bachmeier. I will crash out. You want to see me crash out? Go get Bear Bachmeier. Watch me crash out. Again, I don't think the Buster Faulkner wants to stick with the quarterback run heavy offense the way that he's had at Georgia Tech. I think that he did that because he had Haynes King at quarterback, and that was the best way you were going to win football games with Haynes King at quarterback. I don't think it's what he wants to do. He received 10% of the NIL from Florida. What a waste comment from Larry, and that I've seen before, and I know where it came from. I will just say that the person that put that out there has been wrong time and time again. I'm not going to put stock into something like that. I see a lot of people mentioning Darian Mensah from Duke. And of course, there's the whole, he played a year for John Summerall over at Tulane. But I don't know about that one. Like Duke paid him, right? Duke paid him. He won the ACC. We know what the ACC is, but he won the ACC. Darian Mensah this year, 3,626 passing yards, 30 touchdowns, 5 picks. Pretty good. Hi, Brandon. Shout out. What's up, David? I'll shout you out. Trinidad Chambliss, you are a Florida Gator. Look, there's a lot of options where Florida can go here. And again, like now you can do whatever you want. Did anyone watch the Momagers podcast with DJ Lagway's mom? I did not. Didn't do it. What's up, T? But yeah, I think looking at, Florida now, it's an interesting spot that the whole program's in because of this, right? I saw someone mention Marcus Stokes, which I don't think happens. Marcus Stokes is, of course, the quarterback commit that then ended up going to West Florida after getting his scholarship pulled after a video of him saying a certain thing came out. Why is everyone big on Aaron Philo? Did he play at all? So people are very high on Aaron Philo, the Georgia Tech backup quarterback, partially because watch the offense when he comes in, he lights it up. But I mean, he's a young guy that, again, played well in limited reps over the past 2 years. He has a combined, again, 57.8 completion percentage, which as a freshman was 51.4%. This year it was 75%. He's got 938 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. And yeah, I mean, I think that when you're talking about bringing in a guy like Aaron Philo, you're like, all right, well, he's a young quarterback that that is familiar with the Buster Faulkner offense. But I think that just revisits the conversation of what is a Buster Faulkner offense? That's got to be the question, right?
NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you.
It appears Alabama will hold on to Kalen DeBoer, and he'll probably sign an extension.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It looks like Kalen DeBoer will stick around with Alabama. He has issued a statement basically saying, I hadn't talked to anybody, don't plan on talking to anybody, going to be here, yada, yada, yada. If you wanted to be a conspiracy theorist, and some Michigan people have been wanting to be that, perhaps you could say something like, well, he didn't say his agent hadn't talked to Michigan. He didn't say Michigan by name. He didn't do this. He didn't do that. I mean, I guess, but how many ways does somebody have to deny something? You know, does he have to answer every time some kind of rumor on Twitter pops up? That's my first question. Secondly, I'm for it. I'm for an extension. I'm for a raise. I'm for those things. I want to get some stability in this program. I want to have Kalen DeBoer here for a long time. I believe in him. I think he's going to do well. It doesn't mean he's not going to take his lumps occasionally, but I believe in him. I have seen at least mild pushback by some folks that maybe it's not time for an extension just yet, but that's just the world we're in, right?
Well, first of all, I don't think you should put out a statement about the statement. I mean, I think the statement speaks for itself, and people that are going to parcel it and read it differently than what it's clearly intended to mean, that's on them. It's not on Kalen DeBoer. He's not going to Michigan. We said here he wasn't going to Michigan. He wasn't going to Penn State. There was just an above zero chance it could happen because it's 2025 and there could be facts beyond what any of us know. But I don't think this was ever a real possibility. It was great, though, that he released a statement. I think that's an awareness on Alabama's part about how much chatter there was out there, even from the national sources like Nicole Auerbach and that type that was, kind of fanning the flames of this a bit. And who's to say, we know Michigan talked to Jimmy Sexton. I mean, so that's Kalen's agent. He's also the agent of dozens and dozens and dozens of others. He's just an automatic call when you have an opening at that level. As to the raise extension, I feel a little differently than you on this, in the sense that I don't think that just because your name comes up with other jobs, that merits a raise and an extension. I think the raise and extension needs to be merit-based, based on results on the field. I'm more inclined to say he deserves a raise and extension because Alabama made the playoff. But, I mean, it's year 2. Didn't make the playoff a year ago. Kind of narrowly made the playoff this year. Hasn't won an SEC championship. I don't know that all that merits a raise and an extension. I just don't like the concept that's out there that, hey, if your coach, his name pops up in other searches, you must give him a raise and extension. Let's remember, A lot of the people that want raises and extensions for DeBoer also wanted him fired after the Florida State game this year. So if you're going to be like, well, we won, let's give him a raise and extension. Oh, we lost, let's fire him. I don't think that's the smartest way to go about it. We could be having to replace him in a couple of years. You don't want the buyout to be prohibitive.
I did not have me being bad cop Jimmy, me being good cop, Jimmy being bad cop on my bingo card this morning. Frankly, throughout mine and Jimmy's friendship, I have been more of the let's fire him and figure out the pieces later. And Jimmy's been the, hey, just hang on. I mean, again, Jimmy, I don't think I'm spilling any beans here. Back when we first got to know each other, you were on the, hey, Mike Shula's my coach. Let's not, run him down. Let's see how this thing pans out. And I was ready to run that man on a rail out of town. Not saying I'm right all the time with this or saying you're right, but I think it's interesting because I think what you're saying makes total sense. I'm on board with that. I mean, boy, what a concept, right? That if you do well, you get paid more. If you don't do well, you might get fired. I think that's a wonderful way to look at this. And I think any reasonable human being in any kind of reasonable economy with any kind of reasonable governing body would say, yeah, that's how this should run. All of this is irresponsible right now, though, in terms of college football and college sports in general. It is all irresponsible. I mean, yesterday I saw USC announced that 3 players re-signed with them, like it was a contract extension. And boy, I was just like, okay, it's probably no different. I mean, we just hadn't called it that. When other people say, hey, I've worked out the terms of my NIL and I'm going to come back. I've just never heard a school brag that we re-signed a guy that was already here. It's just kind of icky to me. Right. There are people who push back on me, and maybe you feel the same way, that hey, so you don't want the players to get paid? That's not what I'm saying. I know they deserve something. I'm just saying the way that everybody's going about it right now, don't we all understand we're sort of half in, half out all the way around, and that can't be good for the longevity of the sport. And so, yes, I want Kalen DeBoer to be his raises and his promotions or his accolades to be warranted 100%. That said, it is the world we're in. We don't really have another way to. We could take a hardline stance and take a moral high ground. The problem would be we'd be the only program in the country doing it, right?
No. I don't think what we both hate, and we're on the same page here. Of course, we don't hate that the players get paid. What we hate is the 1-year free agency. That's what we have in college football. Everyone out there is a 1-year free agent. If the NFL or Major League Baseball had 1-year free agency and that was the rule, everyone's a free agent at the expiration of the year, those leagues would collapse. That's what we have in college football, and it's not sustainable that every single year, every player in college football is a free agent and able to move to the highest bidder. That's not how professional leagues work. Everyone will say, well, these are professional kids. These are professional athletes now. Okay, then operate like the other professional organizations do. They don't have 1-year free agency. You have to earn your free agency by years of service. In the NFL, it's 4. In Major League Baseball, it's even longer. You have to earn your free agency. In college football, we've just gifted it to 18-year-olds, and it's insanity. But are we upset that the players get paid? Not at all. Not at all. It's just the lack of a system, or I guess you could say the system in place. And it does bother me that Lenore Sellers has to put it. See, these kids, they put out a statement that they've got it down to 10 schools. Then they put out a statement that they've got it down to 3 schools. Then they commit. Then they announce that they're signing. And then each year hereafter, there's an announcement as to where they will play next year. And it's insane, really, it is. But it's also still the greatest sport somehow, some way.
It is curious how long it'll last there, though. I mean, for me, it's going to take a lot longer to fall off that number one spot. For you, it will. For most everybody listening to this, it will. But I do wonder, will people ever get tired of this? And of course, there were people in the 80s saying that about the NFL. Like how much longer can they keep doing this or giving this guy this much money? And in a way, some things maybe have gotten a lot worse, but the dollars are still there. And I think that's what some of the agents and the powers that be that represent the players and the coaches say. The dollars are still there. Y'all can say y'all don't like this. Y'all can say it goes against all your morals. But at the same time, y'all still watch. And as long as y'all watch, it's going to be there. And we're going to keep asking for more money. Right?
That part's not sustainable either. I think what we're heading towards is something I've been against this. I think the coaches are against it. I think the players are against it. I think everyone's against it. But we've reached the point where without congressional help that apparently is not coming. If congressional help is not coming, then there's the nuclear option. All that's left is collective bargaining. And that's where we're headed. I hate it. Most people hate it. It's not good. It's not necessarily good for the players to now be actual employees, unionized employees. But I think that's where we're headed because there really is no other option left.